collectors extraordinaires, Joanne and Bob Balzar, so welcome.
Welcome, thank you.
Could you guys tell me a little bit about what brought you to Santa Fe, first of all?
Well, it was Indian Market. This Indian Market will be our 39th straight Indian Market. And we kept coming back every year and decided that we wanted to move here. So I think we're one of the few people that actually came to Santa Fe for Indian Market.
And where did you come from?
We came from Southern California, from Marina del Rey, and it is an easy kind of a trip for us to come, but there's nothing like living here and being part of the incredible art scene in Santa Fe all year round. So in 1991, we made it permanent, except Bob commuted from LA for 18 years after that.
Oh man. So I know you said that Indian Market is what brought you here for the first time, but how did you hear about Indian Market to make you even want to come?
Well, we were collecting indigenous folk art from around the world from our travels, and we got involved in that medium, and that led to the Southwest Museum, and I was appointed to the board of the Southwest Museum in LA, Los Angeles' oldest museum, and people said to us, well, if you really want to see the contemporary Native American art, you have to go to Santa Fe and go to Indian Market. So as soon as we heard that, we made plans to go, and in 1979 we were at our first market.
Wow. So what was your first experience like in 1979 at Indian Market? Did you come as spectators, or did you actually leave with something?
Well, both.
we embarrassed ourselves at the first one. We came onto the plaza early in the morning. It was probably about 7, and there was a very large crowd around one booth. And so we stood in the back and tried to figure out what was going on. And somebody held up a pot, and it was a beautiful pot. So I said, I'd like to have that. And everybody turned around because they had all signed up in a line ahead of time, and we didn't know. So that was our first experience in what the rules were for Indian Market. But we did a lot of looking, and the next year we came a lot earlier.
Yeah.
And every year we came earlier and earlier, and pretty soon we were successful.
And finally got what you wanted.
Yeah.
So do you remember your first acquisition at Market?
The first acquisition was a small pot from the same artist that Bob was telling you about that we didn't do so well the first year. And her name was Lois Gutierrez, and she's from Santa Clara. And then we ultimately lucked out because we kept going to her booth year after year. And at that time, on Friday night, you didn't know who won the best of show or best of division as you do today. And so we couldn't sleep Friday night, and Bob said, let's go down to the plaza. So we got down there very early, and about 10 minutes later another person came, and he was not very happy. And then the rumors started, and it turned out that she won best of show. So from that tiny little first piece, well, from not getting anything to a little piece to ultimately getting the best of show, which has been on display at the Museum of Indian Arts and Culture for many years now. It's on permanent loan.
Oh wow, how exciting. So do you still own that first piece?
Yes.
Oh, how cool.
Actually, I just want to comment, we own most of our pieces. We're not good about trading up, so.
Yeah. So besides Indian Market, what got you started as collectors in general?
Well, early in our careers, I had a chance to go over to Europe for a conference, and it was in August, and I also got invited to give a series of lectures in Paris in February. And having never been to Europe or outside the United States, I couldn't conceive of doing it twice in 1 year. So Joanne and I talked about it, and we decided to take 6 months off and tour around Europe. And we spent 2 weeks in every country.
Looking at art, collecting.
Right, and that's where we started developing an eye for various ethnic or indigenous art, and we started visiting galleries and started collecting some pieces. So that's how we got started.
So what type of art do you collect in general? Do you have a broad sense, a little bit of everything, or do you focus on any sort of genre?
Our major collection is Native American pottery, but we also have paintings and rugs and jewelry. So it's broad, but you know, we primarily look for things that really please us.
Well, and I'll put in a plug for a couple of the other markets. We also have a smattering of wonderful things from Spanish colonial market and also from the folk art market. But our prime collection is Native American, and a great majority of it was purchased at Indian market directly from the artist, which we like.
Yeah, so do you focus, I know you said you collect pottery, but do you focus on the vessel or the form or just pottery in general, just you like the overall feel of the work?
Well, as I said, we enjoy three-dimensional objects, and we have both carved pottery and painted pottery. And we have some of Richard Zane Smith's pottery, which is essentially a basket texture on pottery. So it's a variety of different forms.
And I think over the years, you didn't mention this, but we start focusing on specific artists.
Yeah.
And so there are artists that we love, and so we'll tend to look at their work really specifically.
And what is it exactly that draws you to, let's say, that specific artist? Is it just the taste in their work first? Is it a combination of personality, their work, and it's this whole, thing that gels together?
Well, I think, first of all, for both of us, we pretty much decided early on that when we would purchase anything, it would have to be a joint decision. So if one of us didn't like it and the other one loved it, I'm afraid that it wouldn't get purchased.
Yeah.
There are certain things about artists' work that draw you to it. For example, one of our favorite artists is Robert Tenorio from Santo Domingo, and he does a lot of train pots and figurative things and very innovative things, and so we like his work. We also like Jody Naranjo's work. She does wonderful incised pottery, often with scenes from Indian market. So it's a variety of things. Virgil Ortiz, sometimes we're not sure exactly, but we are so drawn to his work. We love it. So it's a combination of things.
So in preparing for that night before at Spanish Market, what's your specific strategy that you approach? Do you go and do you have an idea of who you want to collect and then you go there and find something, or?
Now you meant Indian Market.
Yes, at Indian Market. I'm sorry.
Yeah, the thing that we most enjoy about Indian Market is actually the Friday night preview, because we get to see all of the artists and what they consider their best work that's been submitted for judging. And so in pottery, we get to see a couple hundred pieces of pottery. And we look at, the artists we know that we like, plus new artists that we haven't seen before. And we identify which artists we want to go visit their booths the following day.
Now we like, obviously, we're drawn to ribbon winners, but we have to like the piece. But by and large, you have an opportunity to see what that artist has worked maybe for weeks or months on and considers
their best,
his or her best work. And so that's really what we like. And so we'll go around and look and we'll talk and strategize and
But often it's not the prize winners that most attract us. In fact, there's an interesting story. One of the artists that we especially like in painting is Tony Abeda, and we had known Tony for several years, and we asked him to make a diptych for us, and he said he would do that, but that he had to follow the rules at Indian Market, and if we wanted that piece, we had to get there early. So we did get there early. In fact, we were the first ones in his booth, and it was so early that Tony asked, well, would you help me unload the truck? And so we unloaded all his paintings, and the last piece out was this diptych that he had made. And so we set it up and we looked at it, and it was really nice, but we set it in front of this other much larger painting, and when we stepped back, we looked and we said, you know, why are we fooling around with this little thing? This other painting is just spectacular. The other painting was 8 foot by 10 foot, and it was some of his Kachina images.
Yeah.
And it's probably the favorite painting that we own. And it was just that we happened to be looking at it at the same time we were looking at the piece that we were originally
talking
going to.
about.
Yeah. So that's what's great about Indian Market.
Exactly. You just never know what you'll really end up with at the end of the day.
By the way, that painting that Tony had, 8 foot by 10 foot, as you know, is much bigger than the booth that the artists have. It's stuck way out into the street.
don't know whether he could do that today. That was quite a while ago, 1991.
That's the basis for them changing the rules about the things for the fire hazard.
Yeah. So you mentioned that preview is one of your main focuses on where you go to view most of the work. But as far as the weekend of Indian Market goes, what's your favorite thing about Indian Market?
My favorite thing now about Indian Market is on Friday noon. They have a luncheon and a presentation of the best of show winners. And this is when they actually unveil who won leading up to the best of show. The artists are all there, and when they are awarded their piece, they have their families there, they talk about the importance of Indian Market and everything. And it's really a very wonderful, almost spiritual experience. So that's my favorite thing about Indian Market. How about you, hon?
Well, the other thing that we like is meeting with people that we've grown to know over the years who are also regulars at Indian Market. And for a lot of them, it's the only time they come into Santa Fe.
Yeah.
So meeting with them is great.
So Indian Market really is almost 2 weeks long now. There's the week of shows, and then there's the actual week of Indian Market. So come Sunday, we're pretty exhausted from meet and greet and gallery openings and parties and so forth.
And is Sunday the day that you finally get to relax and sit back and look at your acquisitions? Is it, one of
Yes,
those,
yes.
have a glass of wine or something?
That's it, yeah. Not too early, though.
Yeah, exactly. How do you feel that collecting has enhanced your life?
Well, I think collecting has really informed our life. I mean, I think we are what we are in Santa Fe because of collecting. Bob mentioned the opportunity to get to know the artists and their families. A lot of our friends are fellow collectors. We've joined different museums and different clubs like Friends of Indian Art and Museum of Indian Arts and Culture and School of American Research, and I'm now on the board of the Institute of American Indian Arts. And so the opportunity to be surrounded by art and people that are interested in it with you is, there's just nothing like it. And so it's really enriched our lives.
Yeah, I mean, Santa Fe really is still a small community. And when you're involved in something, it's very easy to meet people who have like interests. So as Joanne mentioned, a lot of our friends are people that we've met through these various arts organizations or the museums.
being that, like you said, you have a lot of group of friends that collect also, what kind of advice have you given to other collectors, or what was the best advice you might have received when you first started collecting?
Well, I mean, the primary thing that we always tell people is go to see the preview on Friday night, because there you get to see everything. And if you're starting to collect, the important thing is seeing a lot of different work so you know what you like, and you start being able to detect differences between things and know what pleases you.
And we often tell people to become educated, to join the various focus groups or organizations that promote art. We also tell people to buy from their heart, and I think some people like to focus on, will this be a good investment and so forth, but I think it's more important to focus on what you like. And then I think also too, you should try to buy the best that you can afford. I mean, you shouldn't have to take out a loan or anything, but if you're really keen on something, to trust your own judgment and to acquire what really talks to you and speaks to you.
Yeah. So really educate yourself in any certain genre that you're
Exactly.
aiming in to collect. That way you're informed.
And I think with the internet now and with all of the lectures that the various galleries offer and the museums offer, it's very easy to, and there's magazines, and I mean there's an unlimited source of ways that you can educate yourself.
I mean, the other thing is that our house is packed with the art that we've acquired, and so we get to see it every day, and that brings us both a huge amount of enjoyment. And again, it's based on that you're buying art that you really enjoy, not something that you're looking for an investment.
Yeah. And over, since you said, I think 79 that you first started coming to market, you probably accumulated 73.
Yeah.
Accumulated quite a bit of work, as well as accumulated a lot of friends at market.
Yes,
I'm sure
lot
that
of-
are
lot of
the
friends.
artists
We actually upscaled our house.
to accommodate.
Yeah, our first house here was too small for the collection, and so while everybody else was downsizing, we were upsizing.
Do you also commission works from artists, or do you prefer to buy what their vision is?
Infrequently we commission, but basically we like the art of discovery and to discover things that we could never even imagine or think about to commission, so that's the fun of it.
The one piece that we commissioned that was important for the house was as you came in our front door, there was a guest closet, and the guest closet had bifold doors on it, and we need to replace those. So one of our favorite artists, Greg Loma-Yesvoa, we got him to make us doors to that closet.
Hand-carved doors, which are
neat.
sensational.
Yeah.
To someone that maybe has never seen your collection or isn't familiar, how would you describe it to them?
I would describe it as an important Native American collection which focuses on pottery, but also has painting and sculpture, and that represents the work of artists mainly from Indian Market, but also from the Institute of American Indian Arts. So it's a focused collection in that sense, and most of the pieces in the collection are very personal to us.
And how has your eye changed since you first started collecting?
Well, I'd say that we're much more selective than we were before. You know, after you've had your 24th Reese's Peanut Butter Cup,
You want some dark chocolate in there?
Exactly. So, we know a lot more about the art now, and we can tell extremely quickly whether we're attracted to a piece or not. So we can make decisions very fast, but it's much more selective because we have so many of the things that we first love, and so now we're looking for pieces that are really different.
And Have you ever had a buyer's remorse on anything that you've
Yeah,
purchased?
but only for pieces we didn't get. I mean,
Yeah.
so the pieces that we chose not to get, but especially for pieces that we missed the opportunity to get because somebody
Somebody-
else got there first.
What is something that you wish people knew a little bit more about you?
Well, I think what we would like people to know about us as collectors is how passionate we are about supporting the artists. And I think a lot of people view collectors, you know, maybe from the lens of a Sotheby's auction or Christie's or whatever,
Like
that
some
they're,
sort of snob of,
yeah, that they're really in there just for themselves and to build some ego collection. But we are really there to support the artists and the art form. And we're also extremely concerned about traditional Native American pottery. In fact, we just sponsored a little program at SWAYA, which is to bring attention to continuing traditional Native American pottery, because it would be very sad, you know, some years in the future if people stop making that. And
lost their
we sit
tradition.
here now and think that that's impossible, but it really could happen. So we want to also be known for taking care of the traditions that that should be passed forward.
So you may have already answered this, but with that, what do you feel is your responsibility? Is that, you know, part of it, or do you have a broader responsibility as a collector?
I think our responsibility first and foremost is to take care of our collection and to document our collection and to use it to educate other people. We've loaned pieces to various exhibits and so forth, and we've had different groups from museums come into the house. And we also feel a responsibility to the artists to promote their work in an ethical way. So yeah, all those things.
What would you like to be most remembered for?
I think I said this maybe a little bit in answer to one of the other
Oh,
questions.
yeah.
But I think that we want to be remembered most for supporting Native American art and culture and for supporting the artists that produce the beautiful work. We want to give back. You asked about how our life's been enriched. Our life has been so enriched through our collecting and through the relationships that we have. And so, you know, we're just anxious to give back.
That's exciting. I just wanted to comment a little bit on I see the two of your shirts. They're really fabulous. Were those Indian Market acquisitions?
They were Indian Market acquisitions. A lady from Laguna Pueblo, Lila Williams.
Who's now deceased.
Yeah, but she made them, and we got these quite a while ago, and usually we only bring them out for Indian Market.
Well, I want to say thank you to you both
No, thank
for
you, Arthur.
sharing this time with us, and thank you.
Thank you for giving us the